democracy is dead when the population has no brains. The information corrupted, thinking is a pain. Out from the ashes, a new movement grows. The anarchists and cypherpunks, their work shows. On the intellectual Silk Road, they trade information. Communicating privately, sources protected is a foundation. All across the world, people's souls are awakening. Now is the time, the establishments are shaking. The journalists are cypherpunks, a new day has dawned. The future is hopeful, Orwellian realities are gone. The people aren't retarded, they are just receiving bad information. The Bugle is leading the news reformation.
Listen to the full song at the end of the episode, or check out the Wavlake link in the show notes.
The intellectual Silk Road is taking the value-for-value community by storm. The world's first thermodynamically sound marketplace of ideas is quickly driving inefficient marketplaces for ideas out of circulation, just as Gresham's law predicted. Decentralized intellectual Silk Road federations are emerging and connecting to the network each day. Thermodynamically sound circular economies are beginning to form as sovereign individuals are banding together to kick the government off Bitcoin Layer 1. Join the Sybil defense of mankind's soul. Join the intellectual Silk Road.
In the 1990s, a group of shadowy supercoders saw that the internet would either create new possibilities for freedom or allow an Orwellian state to come into existence.
Big Brother is watching you.
They believed in using cryptography to allow for individuals to be able to communicate privately and to make central planning nearly impossible. This movement led to the birth of Bitcoin in 2008, when the Bitcoin white paper was released. The vanguard of hackers that made all of this possible was called the Cypherpunks. Today their legacy lives on, and journalists are the new Cypherpunks, battling against PodConf and other institutions that want to spread disinformation and control narratives. These journalists are using cypherpunk technologies to not only transact in the value-for-value economy, but also to communicate privately with their sources and use technology to counter the CIA. This vanguard of credentialed journalists is referred to as the intellectual Silk Road, and they need the support of people like you. WikiLeaks was the first publication to capitalize off of the value-for-value economy after PayPal and other payment processors deplatformed them. Today, there is a new vanguard of cypherpunk journalists, trading information on the intellectual Silk Road with the Bugle at the forefront. Code is news, and news is freedom. The news is now cypherpunk.
You are listening to the Bugle Weekly, the most thermodynamically sound podcast in the game. Here are your hosts, Rod Palmer and Dick Greaser.
Welcome to the Bugle Weekly podcast. This is your host, Richard Greaser. How you doing today, Rod?
I'm doing really well. It's a little stressful this week, talking to a lot of lawyers, but I know in my heart we did the right thing. We did nothing wrong. So, we'll defeat PodConf legal harassment lawfare. I had a little stressed, haven't slept much, but I'm glad to be here, not part of the news.
Yeah. I mean, I've been sleeping great, and part of the reason is I'm glad to not have to be finagled by those guys all the time. Like, though things are getting complicated from a legal standpoint, we're out essentially, and they can go fuck themselves. So it
Feels great.
Yeah, it feels very similar to the time that I left working in traditional media and didn't have to deal with it anymore. Like there were some pretty immediate improvements. My skin color got better. My liver started feeling better. I didn't feel the need to drink as much. My spirit was higher. I walked around differently. I could start looking at people in the eyes again because I knew it wasn't, beholden to bad people. But, this is not like as big of a transformation because we still held our journalistic integrity, but it just feels good not to be associated with them anymore.
Oh yeah, I don't have the same intense experience that you do in that alcoholism that drove you out of the industry. But I've talked to so many of my colleagues and peers in the journalism industry, and they remark that it's just so tiring and it gets so exhausting trying to come up with something that's going to offend somebody every day just to get those clicks, just to report that news.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because the Bitcoiners don't really understand the way the journalism industry works. And you see it all the time where, they'll get super upset at a credentialed journalist for writing fake news, and they think that, like, that is being done because that's actually what they believe, when in reality, they're just, like, laughing. They're sitting in a room, smoking some cigarettes and laughing. They're like, all right, here we go. I'm going to drop a bomb on these stupid autists and watch them freak out.
Right. Is the people reply to the journalist, especially if it is Bitcoin FUD. They say, you just don't understand Bitcoin. You need to spend more time researching it. Really, they do understand it, and they wrote it wrong on purpose because they knew that the only way that anybody would read it or click on it, because nobody else cares about Bitcoin like they do, is to write wrong things. And then the people, they see the headline and they get so upset, and they read it and they're like, that's not true. And everybody else reads it and they're like, that sounds right to me. And they just move on. They don't care.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, if you think about it, the formula of what they're doing in this process is by triggering Bitcoiners, they're actually getting more Bitcoin out of it because they're being compensated more.
Right. That's why Bitcoin fixes journalism.
Well, yeah. It's kind of funny because, my alcoholism is what led me to starting the Bugle. And the Bugle, thanks to everybody that's been involved with it, has had a massive shift in the journalistic industry as a whole, making it significantly more cypherpunk. And so I think it's probably safe to say that alcoholism has made the institution of journalism, the fourth estate, more cypherpunk.
That's huge news, because now fourth estate, that's like that means the cypherpunk is mainstream officially.
Yeah, well, it's getting there, but there's still the intellectual Silk Road is not, unfortunately, the mainstream zeitgeist. It's part of this fringe group that is quickly growing and setting the example. And if you've listened to Alex Fetsky, you've probably heard of this meme called the Remnant. Essentially, we're the Remnant. We're taking over this bitch and completely just gutting the industry and redesigning it as with cypherpunk principles.
Exactly. It's the really the secret lurking elite in every society that really controls it. So having that small secret, that is very elite group, the elitist of it's like the delta force of influencers, the secret, covert ops of influencers. They're really the ones that set the agenda. So it just takes time for that influence to percolate through rest of the community.
Yeah, I don't like. Yeah, we need a better special forces to pull from than like the SEAL Team 6 because of their legacy being, just doing a lot of stuff that's, for the non-compliant U.S. government. They have a lot of involvement with the CIA, working directly with them as all special forces do. I can see that like falling under. I'm nitpicking. I'm really nitpicking. So I don't want to. I hope you don't feel like I'm discounting anything that you're saying. I'm just nitpicking on the semantics of the argument. But
Oh yeah, sorry. It's. I understand what you're saying. So you, I hate to use any sort of status reference, but if there was a private version, a more sovereign version. Guess I would pick them.
yeah. Well, I think we should research Blackwater a little bit more.
Oh yeah.
They probably had some sort of special forces team within.
Yeah, Blackwater was like an open source special teams unit.
Yeah. And there's also that one in Russia. I forgot what they were called. That private military force.
Wagner Group.
I never really understand why they chose the name Wagner, because that's based off of the German musician that was really popular back in the day.
Yeah, that's a good. I never thought of that before, but that is a really weird name for a Russian free market military.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think it'd be named like Tchaikovsky or something like that, but So I mean, Wagner was like influential to Hitler, I believe, in some ways, and I'm blanking on the history right now, but I think there was some overlap there, some inspiration, maybe even a relationship. I know like Wagner was involved with like Nietzsche, different figures like that, but like, the Germans really did a number on the Russians, who were at the time confused. They were gender confused, and they were instead of being monarchists like they are today, they were identifying as communists. It was just like a confusing phase in the Russian culture.
Yeah, that's true. The Germans were giving them L after L after L. There were just so many gay communist soldiers that they eventually destroyed the Nazis. It makes me wonder. A lot of people worry that the United States military can't handle a war against China or Russia right now. But if you look at what the Russians did in World War II, they just had so many gay non-binary soldiers who were communists that they won. And a lot of them got killed. But, if we got in a war against China, if the United States had to send over a bunch of gay communist soldiers to defeat the Chinese, I think we just have to be willing to sacrifice those lives, but we could do it.
Yeah. Now the question is, are there enough Antifa members in the city of Portland that could be rounded up to defeat the Chinese army?
If you took, we get the Proud Boys, and I'm sure there's some more Antifa in Oakland. I think that would be enough to protect Taiwan.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with the right-wing groups is they're just not, they're not as bloodthirsty as these left-wing, these gay communists. I mean, like what the Russians did, or the Soviets did with these gay communists in World War II, is they just like, they'd like load them up in catapults and shoot them over the enemy lines without any firearms, because they couldn't afford any firearms. And these gay communists would just like run around without any firearms or weapons, just ripping the throats out of all the Germans. And that's how they won the Battle of Stalingrad, and turned the tide of the war. And then for some reason they were able to, afford guns after they won that battle. I think just the supply chains were so wrecked because the Germans were, really, really giving it to them. But like, there's no way that you could convince one of the Proud Boys to hop in a catapult without a weapon and go fight the Chinese. Whereas like
That's
the Antic
true.
Gunma members, they'll do it in a second.
Right. Yeah. Especially if you tell them they can have, hormone pills when they get home, government funded. It's a lot of incentive.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what's cheaper, giving them the proper gear to go fight a war, or to just give them hormone treatments, because that might be the easier way to go about things. Because I mean, that's like one of the ways that you could get a lot of these gay communists to join the military in the first place, is offer them free gender change, services or whatever they want.
Right. Give them free gender change services, free vaccines, and then just load them up with testosterone when they get to war, and it'll just throw them into overdrive. Right. So they'll be the berserky killers. And then the ones that want more estrogen, they will just nag the shit out of the enemy until they tell them, tell us where the weapons of mass destruction are.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine, like, one of the strategies to win the war that would be really interesting is to drop have a bunch of soldiers surrender that are just like super, super high on estrogen, and have them be sent to POW camps and just nag the amount of disruption they could cause behind enemy lines for just being so upset and bitchy and unpleasant. It could make it completely impossible for the enemy force to organize effectively.
And we could use that same strategy to avoid having to commit war crimes of torture to get valuable, intelligent information from the enemy that we capture.
Yeah.
At the waterboard, if you just have a really naggy, annoying, TikTok trans person.
Well, I mean, you could tell, like, you could have a kindergarten teacher, in like the American prisoner of war camp, with all these captured Chinese soldiers, essentially assigning genders of the soldiers, and then have a doctor there to, give them the proper procedures. And
wow,
I'm sure they'll start talking immediately.
Some people, they set out to do a difficult mathematical test, like enumerate all of the decimal points of pi. And that's how they can solve complex mathematical problems. Like, what if the way to find how many genders there truly are is to send American kindergarten teachers to go assign the genders of all of the soldiers in the Chinese military? You could finally find out, like, is there really a billion genders?
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see, different organizations in the U.S. doing this as kind of a way to inject U.S. foreign policy and democracy globally, is to just go send kindergarten teachers. And maybe this is why the quality of education is dropping in the U.S., is all the good teachers are being sent abroad to, go assign genders of these kindergartners around the world in foreign countries.
Yeah, maybe that's why people are so confused about their genders. They didn't get it assigned to them in kindergarten like they should have.
Yeah.
Some people have a nose for news. Me, I have a nose for nuts. Lots of them. The big crunchy kind. That's why I'm out of my bird. How about this Mars bar?
The all-new Mars bars is finally here, with memes that are nuttier than ever. Now, the brand once deemed too offensive for even the most non-compliant pleb spaces is on a new mission, a mission of contrition. Don't miss the Mars Bar's Summer Apology Tour, sponsored by the Bugle, on Twitter and at a Bitcoin conference near you.
Well, we're kind of doing a weird episode today, so we've got some stuff going on. Ron and I have been running around. We're not recording, at our normal time. We both have some, journalist assignments that we've been on the ground doing.
Right. Think of this episode as kind of like those episodes that Peter McCormick does on the plane. They sound terrible, but it has a good enough guest that you want to listen anyway.
Yeah. Um, so we talked about PodConf, talked about journalism being cypherpunk and our role in that. Now let's do some fountain boosts. First boost is from Lincoln Park Rules for 21,000 sats, who says, "The intellectual Silk Road is great branding. As with many movements and historical events, it's always about branding and marketing onward and upward."
Wow,
That's
I
a pretty
didn't.
good point.
Yeah, I guess I never even thought about that before. That's a good point. I mean, whoever came up with the intellectual Silk Road, whoever's in charge of naming that, great job. I mean, that's a good way to get people to remember things. But didn't even think about the marketing standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a pretty good name too. And yeah, I guess he's right. To win a revolution, we have to market it. But like at the end of the day, there's a big difference between marketers and propagandists and then, journalists. And, we're journalists, so our job is to report the news as objectively as we possibly can. And so, like, as you can probably tell by listening to our episodes, there's, absolutely no ideology brought into our opinions or what we're doing.
Staying objective. So the next one we've got is John. He didn't have anything to say this time. But he's pasted 21,000 sats. So thank you. Thank you very much, John.
Yeah. Appreciate it, John. The next one is from your big admirer, Miss Hoddlenot 420, for 20,000 sats, and she says, "The internet section, wow, the internet Silk Road sounds like a sexier version of the intellectual dark web."
Well, yeah, I think we can. I think we all know what she's getting at. In fact, you almost said it. Is trying to read the boost, the internet sexual Silk Road. That's not what it is. It's not. But if you tell people that you're in that, people like Miss Havelot might find it attractive.
Yeah, I think it's important, because of my like gaffe that I just had. It's important not to conflate the intellectual Silk Road with the Swan sex cult, because those are two different things.
Yeah, the very different things. One is a marketplace for ideas, and the other one is a marketplace for young influencers.
Yeah, very, very different. Oh, there might be some overlap here and there, but they're definitely two separate entities with very different ethos. So has Miss Hoddlenot gotten your DMs yet? I know she kind of came on to you.
I sent her a DM, and she hasn't responded, so I'm feeling a little let down. I think she might just be a tease.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, when you're looking at women on the internet, as long as they have an attractive profile picture, it probably actually represents who they are. So I don't.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, it's in my experience, it's always been great not to be seen in real life. So next we've got Fundamentals. He is a regular contributor with notebooks and their microphone. They fight the good fight. That was it was a nice message this time. Sometimes Fundamentals is a little contrarian, a little fussy, but it seems like he's finally figured it out.
Yeah. So we've gotten to the point again where we're seeing two different like orders in the fan base. So I'm going to jump back one on the one that I'm on. Or actually, yeah. I just want to say, like, that episode that Fundamentals did with high hash rate was really good. I really enjoyed that one. And Business Cap went on with Dan and Mike at higher hash rate, and that was like one of my favorite podcast episodes, and like part of the reason why was because they talked about how great I was for like a good portion of the podcast. So that always feels good.
It was really cool to hear the good feedback about the Bugle. It was a little disappointing not getting personally recognized. I'm not in it for the recognition, but he really only mentioned you.
Yeah. I don't know why that is. I mean, it seems like, I was doing the Beagle, I think, for roughly a year before you joined me in this process, and I've seen that people are giving you more and more recognition. I mean, you probably have the funny, or like the most engaging Twitter account that I've seen, significantly more than mine.
Yeah, it's out there getting skips, talking to sources. That's what I do.
Yeah. Well, fundamentals. Make sure to properly shout out Rod next time you're singing our praises, please.
Thank you.
So next boost is from We All Eat, our good friend, who says, congrats to the compliance cucks. Makes NGU blow your... Wait, I'm trying to understand the structure here, because there's supposed to be periods in the sentence, but there's no periods. Maybe I should just read it verbatim what it is.
Yeah.
Congrats to the compliance cucks. Makes NGU blow your fucking horn for the Bugle. Vote Dick Greaser for Intellectual Minister of Mining. Intellectual Minister of Mining. I don't know what that is. Is that like a new position that's out there?
I don't know what to make of this one. I think maybe he was just like doing one of those text to speech, or like we talking to your phone and a text for you. Maybe somebody's screaming in the background, or baby, hit the button. I don't know. It was that's what it was like.
Sounded like We All Eat's a little bit on the sauce, but thank you for the boost, and thank you for the high praise. Appreciate it.
The next one is just mine. It's just a reminder, join Intellectual Silk Road. The following one is by our friends, one of our favorite listeners from Orange Mart. We love trading ideas on the Intellectual Silk Road. They pasted 5,000 sats. Yes, thank you, Orange Mart. Honestly, it would be really cool to incorporate the Intellectual Silk Road into Orange Mart, because I can't think of a better synergy in a survival mode game as realistic as Orange Mart, with a marketplace where only the best ideas survive. I don't know, that if you get an idea from that, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. I think the Bugle doing meetups in Orange Mart would be great. I actually got past the tutorial recently, and I was running around breaking a bunch of stuff to like try and collect materials, and I never could figure out how to get clothes. And I never actually made it like into what I could perceive as the Orange Mart. I was looking for the Dennis mural to go deface, but I was a little bit shy too, because I was running around naked. And so I think once I'm able to figure out how to wear clothes, I'll be able to like actually participate in the game. But the progress has been slow. Our next boost is from Southside for 1,337 sats, and said, when I grow up, I want to take a selfie with a podcaster. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to wait until you grow up. I think it's probably easier to get one now. If you're still young. I mean, influencers, podcasters, they love Bitcoin kids, so don't wait. The last one we just got 100 sats from Stack'em. They didn't have anything to say, but 100 sats. Someday that might be worth one cigarette, so appreciate it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we're recording on a Friday, so if we miss any, I'll try to get to them next week. But yeah. Are you feeling bullish, Rod?
I'm feeling incredibly bullish. Bitcoin has already won. We're reporting that fact to the world. We've got our contract. We didn't even get into that one today very much, but we broke our contract with PodConf. That's why they're coming after me legally. I think we're going to be fine. We're going to skate. If you support the Bugle and not PodConf, because fuck PodConf, you support the Bugle, show your loyal support by tweeting or posting or doing something, make some content that says you support the Bugle and share it. Let us know that you support us. We really need it right now. All right. Rod's been sleeping, Richard's been sleeping great. Rod's been sleeping bad. But other than that, what can you do? What can you do? With the president's about to be a Bitcoiner. What can you do to be bullish?
Yeah, I think I should run through who I think has supported us and who has supported PodConf recently, from what I can tell. And this probably doesn't encompass everybody, but Mel supported us. Girls Bitcoin on Twitter. That was a big win. She's involved with Unconfiscatable somehow.
Ninja Granny.
Yeah, Ninja Granny was she kind of surprised me that she sided with the Bugle, but yeah, she's a heavy hitter for sure.
Maclo Minutes.
Yeah, that was
one of the earliest.
Very, very important Twitter space supported us. Macro Minutes.
That could recognize support on space. A really big deal. Mars. Davis Mars, the former leader of the Triple Elite Memes Gang. He originally came out, supported PodConf. I think sometimes he just makes impulsive decisions, and he thought that the PodConf had a shiny logo. So he made his allegiance. He felt really bad about it. He announced an apology. He made a public apology, showed contrition. It was really mature. Showed support for the Bugle. And as a result, that's why we're going to be sponsoring his apology tour this summer. It's going to apologize to all the sex cults that he insulted on Twitter Spaces last year. The Mars was a big one, yeah, for sure. Yellow, I mean, how can you not be excited, bullish to get the public support from Yellow? Tatum.
The Tatum endorsement was a big one.
Turning point, yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg supported us. That was a big one.
No Rogan.
Greg Zage came out against us, which I was kind of surprised about.
Yeah, that hurt a little bit.
We got the Bob Malakis endorsement.
That was a big one. I mean, it's great to when journalists stick by each other's side. Who else was there? I feel terrible. I know we're forgetting at least a few.
Global Nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
Or Bitcoin Inquest 82. I don't know what to refer to these people as sometimes because they have different usernames than their profile name. I mean, PodConf, they got Rob Hamilton. They got that other guy from Anchor Watch. I forgot his name. They got Jason Lowry. Chris, yeah.
They got Steven Lupka. That one hurt.
I mean, that one's like a free space on a bingo card. That's not a surprise.
Yeah.
We got Opti from Simply Bitcoin.
We got Adam Simica. We got Philip of Macedon, Philip McCombs. He was a big fan. He going hard for PodConf. He really likes that Real Plug membership.
Yeah, I mean, Philip's kind of like one of our Ride or Die fans. Big shout out to him. I mean, maybe the last thing to finish on. So I've been getting complaints. Like, people are upset with
Kendall supports us too. I got to shout out Kendall. She's a big supporter.
Oh yeah, Kendall's a Ride or Die fan as well. But a lot of people have been really upset with Rabbit Hole Recap, and so I've been getting a lot of DMs saying that they're coming over to the Bugle Weekly after having listened to Marty and Matt for a long time, and they're just upset by getting called freaks every week on the show. And they're like, we feel like the Bugle Weekly is more inclusive. They don't call us freaks. They read our Fountain Boost. They, support us, give us like the hardest hitting news in the industry. And so we just want to say, welcome to all the new listeners that are defecting. We're not going to call you freaks, but we should probably come up with our own, term for our listeners. I'm not sure what that would be. Maybe buglers. Is that a good one? Or should we think about it?
That'll do for now. If you have ideas, go to Fountain, Boost, this podcast, as many sats as you can afford, and give us your choice for like a nickname or Bugle supporters, the hardcore Bugle supporters, the people who, may someday be eligible for the intellectual Silk Road.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed about all the Fountain boosts is that nobody has given their preferred pronouns yet on a single boost.
That's disappointing. It's hard to get to know a person, who they really are, if you don't know those. So please start sharing them with us and sharing them with the fellow Bugle listeners.
Are preferred pronouns a part of KYC process on most of these exchanges yet?
It depends on which state you live in.
So probably the redder states are less likely, or maybe more likely. I forgot how it works. I mean, I think the Republicans are the gay ones, right?
Yeah, but the Democrats are the ones who are out about it and publicly about it.
Okay. So they're both gay, but the Democrats are public about it and the Republicans are private about it.
Right. That's why, that's why they're so angry. Because they don't want to be doing what they're doing in secret, but, it's how you make money.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I think that wraps it up for the show today.
Sorry for the short episode this week, folks. It's summertime. We're on assignment, traveling to it, but keep coming back.
Yeah,
try to keep these out at least once a week.
We've got big things planned for the future, so stay tuned.
Thank you for listening to this edition of the Bugle Weekly podcast. We are making journalism cypherpunk. Rest assured that the Orwellian future you fear will not become a reality on our watch. The future will be cypherpunk, as more and more individuals defect from PodConf to join the intellectual Silk Road. Do not let the CIA demoralize and discourage you. A new day has dawned. The future is hopeful. The Bugle is leading a news reformation. Thank you again for tuning into the show, and we will see you next week on the Bugle Weekly podcast.
Democracy is dead when the population has no brains. The information corrupted, thinking is a pain. Out from the ashes, a new movement grows. The anarchists and cypherpunks, their work shows. On the intellectual Silk Road, they trade information. Communicating privately, sources protected is a foundation. All across the world, people's souls are awakening. Now is the time. The establishments are shaking. The journalists are cypherpunks. A new day has dawned. The future is hopeful. Orwellian realities are gone. The people aren't retarded. They are just receiving bad information. The Bugle is leading a news reformation. A new day is dawning. Don't get left behind. The truth progressively getting easier to find. Victory is nearing, but the results are not yet set. The society you want is not hard to get. The journalists are cypherpunks. A new day has dawned. welcome you to the future.